Going live. I'm not ready.
We're live!
Ah!
And as always, our stream starts off in an incredibly professional manner. Welcome, good afternoon to you, the viewers, of yesterday's Imola GP. Pretty good race. I'm tweeting now, so you've got to stall. You know that usual stall.
Welcome, everyone, to the official Imola GP review. Or the official review overall. No one else does reviews out there.
Don't think so.
I've searched.
I definitely didn't think that Tomo was just live doing it.
No,
he might still even be live.
No, fake news. I heard that's what you call that
fake
thing.
News.
Fake news.
But hi, Peter on pole.
Hey, Peter on pole.
Hey, Pete. How you doing? On time.
You just got 3 hellos there.
Yeah, I did. Dun,
not
dun,
you.
Dun, dun, dun. Peter is always on time.
So it's annoying me that I guess the mic has to be slightly skew-whiffed. Hope everyone is doing well this fine Monday afternoon, the day after the Imola GP. A drama-filled race. Not much on-track action. There was some here and there. Lots of drama. A few adventures off the track and on the track. And we will be looking at all those in today's review of the Imola Grand Prix. But first, probably
that music guy. Hello.
Probably the biggest news or biggest point of the race weekend was, of course, the Lewis and Sebastian Vettel press conference on the Thursday. What did we think of that? It was incredible, wasn't it? You had Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel in a press conference together. Incredible. Everyone was looking forward to it. I know the hype was unreal, and we got it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Are you done carrying over? Have you embarrassed yourself enough? Apologise to them.
I'm sorry.
Heisenberg, hi, 5-star race from me. What a title race we have from Peter on the pole on our hands. Alpine versus Aston Martin will be interesting. Lando, the #1 driver at McLaren? Question mark. All these things will be discussed in today's video, but Super Max gets the race victory after obviously Lewis Hamilton claimed victory in Bahrain, which means they are one piece, although Lewis Hamilton did get the bonus point for fastest lap, didn't he?
Yes.
So Lewis Hamilton does technically still lead the championship. So Max Verstappen still has never led the championship at once from there. That music guy agrees with Lando being the #1 at McLaren. But okay, well, I guess the first point, the point where this race was probably won.
Wait. How are we doing this again? Are we doing it like we did last time and run through the teams? Or do you want to do certain points?
Let's do a certain point and then go through the teams.
Okay, go on then.
I was going to go certain point
your action
was through the first chicane, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, wheel to wheel, neither of them back out because, that's what Valtteri did and Lewis was expecting, Max to do that, but, it doesn't happen.
Maybe, yeah.
Max held his line, had the inside line, drove the racing line. Lewis should have backed out, lost it, but he knew Imola, it's so important to get ahead. And, that was basically where the race was won and lost. We'll talk about maybe like Lewis crashing off a little bit.
We'll come on to that when we talk about Mercedes.
Go from there. But
I have a thing about Mercedes, but they're at the top end, so you're going to have to wait for that. We have to get through the crap teams first. Let's start with Haas.
And what a fantastic race from them.
Yeah, really strong weekend. Both cars finished. Both cars spun.
And if you got them in fantasy, that means points.
One car crashed, but they both kept going. One car crashed and one car had the car crash into it. So, very strong performance from them.
Have to agree, Peter, on pole. Superb driving from Haas. Absolutely.
Mick was only a minute behind.
Yeah.
behind 15th, was it?
Yeah, whatever position it was, he was only a minute
I was going to say a
behind.
minute behind Sebastian, but that was completely wrong.
No, because Sebastian retired in the end. I think it was Gio. 16th, 17th.
Verstappen.
So let's go through it. Russell, Bottas, Latifi retired.
Yep.
So that would mean he would be, and he had finished ahead of Mazepin.
Yep.
So that would mean he would be...
He was 16th.
16th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be 15th.
Yeah.
Because Vettel then did retire.
Who was Alonso?
Actually, no. He probably finished...
No, he finished behind Sebastian because...
Sebastian still got classified.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But yes, Haas... Nikita was a minute then behind Mick, and that was... Did he have damage from Latifi, or was he just trying to finish a race? Which, fair enough. If he was to take it a bit easy in that Haas car, sure, go for it. You're not going to finish anywhere ahead of your teammate. So,
in fairness, and yeah, in fairness with Mazepin, his role is to complete one Grand Prix without spinning.
He kind of did a half spin, didn't he? He didn't really quite manage that.
Yes, so
Yeah.
he didn't do that.
He's getting valuable data for the team.
Valuable data.
That they're not going to use because they don't like the car.
And they're not developing the car at all.
He's getting
You
good
did
practice.
say, in fairness, you did say Bahrain was as good as it was going to get. And
Well, the team told the drivers that it was a big learning thing because it was very challenging conditions. So good learning for Haas. Everyone, well done, Haas. Well done, Haas.
applaud the learning process. Applaud it.
Team of the day.
Applaud it.
Let's
Yeah,
go on for
absolutely.
the next terrible team. Actually, there isn't really any other
Hello,
terrible
David.
teams.
Hello.
Hey, David.
Williams.
No, because they were decent. Let's go to,
Alfa Romeo.
who finished. This is where I
Did
normally
Kimi
hold
finish
up.
in the points in the end?
No, because he got a penalty because he came out in the wrong position after the red flag.
So confusing.
Yeah.
So confusing. Thanks, Pete, for getting in on the applause.
Because that's how Alonso.
Haas really appreciate your support at this learning time. Not difficult time. It's learning time.
So yes, Gio and Kimi were 13th and 14th. I said that in the wrong order. Gio was 14th. Kimi was 13th.
Kimi convincingly, was ahead of Giovinazzi.
Kimi finished in the points, but then was penalised because, I'm not sure the exact reason. But it was like about he started in the wrong position after the red flag.
Kimi drove a great race.
Yes, he deserved the points.
Giovinazzi had a quiet race.
Yes, he had a poor qualifying.
Yeah. And never really recovered from that point.
Yeah, I believe Nikita came up in Q1, and so Gio missed out. Yeah,
not as bad as Renus VK and Jimmy Johnson. Wrong video!
but there we go. That's enough said about Alpha. There's lots of action in this race, so let's just get these teams out of the way.
Bish, bash, bosh. The delay penalties are annoying.
We probably should come on to Williams. The disaster. They could have had a double points finish.
DNF.
Could have been a double points finish.
Double DNF.
But Latifi lost it early, and then when he came back onto the track, wasn't in control, and Nikita helped Latifi on his way to the wall. Latifi was like, "Please send me into it," and then Nikita said, "Okay,
you want to go?
I can't do anything. This is all on you, Latifi."
Because Latifi had already spun, and then he was like, "Oh, damn, I didn't spin enough to get in the wall." Nikita's like, "It's all right, mate. I got your back.
Just drive into me, and I'll send you." And Nikita obliged. Latifi found his way to the wall.
Now, obviously, Russell is probably the first point that we bring up the incident between Bottas and Russell. And Peter, strong opinions either way, I think we've found. George Russell's fault, his behaviour towards Bottas was unacceptable.
Slapped him in the face.
Yes. It's not great.
You go first.
They're drivers in the heat of the moment. So I'm never going to condone Russell really for what he did. He didn't pull Bottas out the car, throw him to the floor, and start repeatedly punching him in the face until he was like, "Submit! Give me your seat! I don't want to be in Williams anymore."
I didn't even get a Netflix episode.
Why was I fighting you in the first place? You're in a goddamn Mercedes.
Okay.
So he didn't do that. Just to confirm on that basis. Look, racing incident. He overcorrected. Look, Bottas didn't know he was there. Russell thought he was going to get into a collision. He gets on the grass, spins. They take both each other out.
Bottas knew he was there.
I don't know. Look.
What are you on about?
Yeah.
Bottas didn't know he was there. Is Bottas blind?
Yes, he's blind.
It's Bottas' fault, isn't it?
It's Bottas' fault.
For driving whilst blind.
I don't know.
No,
Look,
Bottas knew he was there.
it's a racing incident. I didn't see anything wrong by either driver. Like, Bottas didn't immediately jag in the way, and Russell overcorrected and went onto the grass. That's the wonderful thing about old circuits, because mistakes are punished. If you had a runoff area, nothing would have happened. But it was exciting on there. But yeah, we'll.
What did Toto say?
It was Russell was showing the driving ability of the Clio Cup or something. Toto really stuck his foot in his mouth, very unlike him. Yeah, absolutely. Russ dipped a tyre on the wet surface and went into Bottas, yet was angry at himself. Nonsense. Bottas turned left to avoid Russ. Bottas said he was defending. George
said it's like a gentleman's agreement. If you're going side by side into a corner, you shouldn't do like a late jag to try to throw the other guy off.
Jag.
So that was why Russell was so annoyed, because he was like, whoa, he can do that, but it's not very gentlemanly,
That's what I mean, right? It's a racing incident. I'm glad the stewards didn't get involved and neither of them received penalties.
Yeah.
It's an expensive mistake for both of them. What's your feeling, Stephen? Let the people know.
Did Russell bottle it? If he just held his nerve and went straight and completed the overtake move, everyone's fine. He knows Bottas sees him. It's a split-second reaction. It's so difficult because you're not the one in the cockpit. Obviously, he has a split second that Bottas slightly swerves to the right. And in that moment, he's like, crap, he's not going to stop coming to the right. But Bottas is just trying to throw Russell a bit, and he successfully did that. Backfired quite heavily on Bottas, but Russell kind of got very spooked by it.
I agree with you, and the reaction would definitely be different if it was to those drivers, Peter. Should he go unpunished for the slap? Yeah, Max wasn't punished for like the push or knock on, was he? I think heat the moment. Look, it doesn't look good, I admit, but I wouldn't throw the book at him because they're racing drivers. It's the heat of competition. Sometimes you do stupid things, and it was like a bang slap. It wasn't like intent to hurt.
Well, okay. Well, basically what happened, George went, were you trying to kill us both? And then Valtteri flipped him off. So, but Valtteri didn't hear George go, were you trying to kill us both? So George was like, whoa, that was your reply to that comment. So miscommunication.
Yeah, lack of experience from Russell, in my opinion. Absolutely. And this is where Russell has been hindered in the Williams because
he hasn't had to race anyone.
He hasn't had to race anyone, or at least anyone competitively. The real thing from this incident is it's kind of embarrassing that Bottas was in that situation. Yeah. He shouldn't have been fighting a Williams, let's be fair.
But we'll come on to that when we talk about Mercedes
section. But Where we go, I was fair enough for it being a racing incident. There would be uproar, but I would say that would be more. You shouldn't change how you react to an incident, judging on a driver and who they are. That's just because people are more defensive of Ricciardo, Vettel, Lando because they've got a bigger fan base than what Bottas has, and that's harsh to Bottas. Go from there. So I think that's a very good point that you made there, Pete. But yeah, I just say it's drivers doing it.
I say Russell bottled it a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
But let's move on to the next team because there's a lot of teams to get through and a lot of drama to digest.
I see Simmer wants this because you've said this a second of times while we wait for Stephen. Was how Mazepin was last at the end of the lap behind Vettel, who started from the pit lane. No.
Mick was
behind
Sebastian as well.
Yeah. Something went wrong. But yeah, get in there, Lewis. For no, but Perez really disappointed me. We'll get onto that. He disappointed us. You'll see him.
Shall we jump onto Aston Martin, who had a bit of a? They had an okay. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel retired late on, and Lance Stroll was finished P8. Bit of a mare start for them because they both had brake failures, and Sebastian Vettel was so much of a brake failure that they broke the rules by being on the grid for too long. So they had to start in the pit lane, managed to fix the brakes, but then I think that was a performance issue for the whole race. So Sebastian Vettel wasn't really competitive. Lance Stroll managed to haul it into the points. But then what rule did he break? He broke... What happened to Lance Stroll? Does anyone know? He broke a rule, and he was then penalised to go behind Pierre Gasly. I can't remember what Lance Stroll did, though.
I can't either. And I watched it this morning. No, but I think what we're generally getting from chat is Stroll did very well.
Stroll did do very well.
I think he did. And I think actually I said this, Pete's going to be angry at us because we still haven't completed Drive to Survive, but we watched the Grosjean episode and, with Checo winning the race. Big up, Racing Point. Yo! Don't know what that was. But is it karma to Racing Point?
Dropping
Checo. They had a perfectly good driver going in search of a 4-time champion. He was struggling at Ferrari, and a guy had been so loyal to them and helped them on through there. Is it karma? Go from there. I know they've got it, and changing the aero regulations, but that's what happens in F1. If a team are dominant, the sport tends to try and change the rules to stop that team being dominant to close up the field. So they can't really complain. That's just what happens.
He overtook Gasly under caution.
Okay.
Fair enough. There we go.
Aston Martin's the most overhyped team. Are they overhyped? Probably overhyped. I think it's because everyone expected them to be the same as last year, but I guess no one really anticipated the aero regulation changes. But Aston Martin could still be a very strong outfit in 2022 with the new rules and regulations, because that was the whole design philosophy for that team anyway. It was meant to be a stopgap for a year, which it would have worked. They didn't anticipate COVID. So they would have gone into the new regulations, getting P4 in the championship.
Yeah.
And, then ready to really go on the new regs. Where they really get stuffed is we've got this extra year before the rules and regulations have gone in. They've had to now develop this car that they were just kind of going, we were hoping that we wouldn't have to do that. Took it in their own direction. Hasn't quite worked. The aero regulations punishing low rate cars, but not entirely. I think Toto did a speech on it, which kind of explained it. It's more than just that. But yeah.
There we go.
Everyone can be a strong outfit in the new regulations. Absolutely. There are so many teams who are like, we're planning for 2022. Not all of them are going to get it right. Hey, someone's going to get it right.
Someone has to be last and someone has to be first.
That's the sport.
Vettel's experience is valuable to Aston Martin on the technical side, at least. Yes, it is indeed. He's been in a championship winning team. He knows how to win championships. He knows what a team's got to do. And he can bring that to Aston Martin.
Absolutely.
But in terms of on-track performance, he just needs more laps. obviously he had
an awful testing, and I think he's still playing catch up from that.
Yeah, and he's Bahrain. He had an incident with Ocon, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then this race he had brake issues with the car. He just needs more laps. If he's doing the same at the end of the season and Lance Stroll is still whipping him, then question Sebastian. But I think he just needs more time. Yeah,
it's like with all the drivers in new teams right now, you kind of at least 5 races, I would, before we even tentatively start to kind of
all of them
make judgments. Yeah, because Ricciardo's not, they're great time in McLaren. Vettel from there. Sainz, in fairness, Sainz is probably doing the best. And I would have been.
Well, Sainz made lots of early mistakes, but made up for it.
Yeah, but he's the closest probably to his teammate out of them.
Yeah.
Alonso's doing all right as well.
Checo's the only one to out-qualify his team. Oh, no, I think Ricciardo beat Norris. Scrap that.
I think it was this qualifying we out-qualified. But that was mainly because Lando's lap got cancelled, wasn't it?
Yes, maybe.
But yes, that's pretty much Aston Martin, isn't it? Disappointing start to their new era.
Although they're still getting points.
A very positive performance from Lance Stroll. He is keeping that team going and, proving talent-wise that he's doing a great job.
Let's go on to Alpine. Another team that, not another team that got their first points, but Alpine got their first championship points in the hands of Fernando Alonso.
Fernando!
And Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, they both gone.
Yeah, sorry.
I forgot.
Sorry, Ocon.
I shouldn't forget this. Did he overtake Ocon at the end? So they just both got promoted because of Kimi's penalty.
Alonso had an awful race.
Yeah.
But got points. So there we go. Alpine, they look like they were nowhere, but they've got a double points finish because they were just kind of there. They benefited because both Williams probably would have finished ahead of them, but obviously both Williams DNF'd. They benefited off Bottas DNFing. They benefited off the Kimi penalty. They shouldn't have got double points finish, but they did. So Fernando Alonso got his first championship point. So you can't be not happy with that.
I think the depressing thing is that's probably one of the best results that Alpine are going to get this season.
Yeah, probably.
That in crazy races, they might kind of go into it, but on pure performance-wise, that's going to be one of their best races.
Yep.
And that's pretty depressing for the team going into race 2 of a 23-race season.
They didn't really have any right to be there, but they're there.
They somehow got there. And, it only really happened because, Russell was ahead of both, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I think both Williams would have finished ahead of Alpine. And then obviously Kimi did finish ahead, and Bottas would have finished ahead, and Checo would have finished ahead.
So
they would have been way back, but they just got fortunate.
Stroll overtook Gasly off track. Thank you, Casey. Thank you. Appreciate that on that one. I got it. The Alpine is competing with the 2012 cars for being the most ugliest car of the decade. Is that in terms of livery or just in the way that it looks because of the airbox being horrendous? Ocon greater than Alonso changed my mind.
The aero thing, not the aero. What's it called?
David, I don't know if you're trying to. I think it's far too early. Either way,
Ocon greater than Alonso changed my mind.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a troll moment rather than a serious statement.
2-time world champion. I've changed your mind.
Yeah, the air intake is bleh.
There we go. That's what it's called.
Alpine is still better than Aston Martin, but Stroll is really performing at Aston Martin. No, I think the Aston Martin is better because it's got the Mercedes engine. I think Renault now is comfortably the worst engine on the grid, and Alpine suffer for that.
But Alpine are doing something that no one else is doing, and they're working towards 2022 regulations. They get ahead of the pack because no one else is preparing for 2022, but Alpine are there. They're going to catch everyone off guard.
I thought you were trolling, David. You've gone from there. But yes, Alpine. Let's move. Again, move on. Let's not spend too much time on Alpine. I mean, we've been going for 24 minutes already. Unbelievable.
Sorry, AlphaTauri. Another disappointing race at one of their home circuits. Or I think it's the home circuit for them because they do a hell of a lot of testing around.
I think I saw Tonka Toy Truck talking about Sonoda. Still shows a lot of promise, but showed his rookie status this weekend. Thoughts on that?
Say it again.
Still shows a lot of promise, but showed his rookie status this year.
Yes.
So, like, inexperience.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, he made a big mistake in qualifying. He had a big mistake in the race. And then he also picked up a penalty for exceeding track limits 4 times. So pretty shocking from Yuki, but
that's why I didn't want to get overhyped. Like last week, there was a lot of, oh my God, Yuki's amazing, Yuki's awesome type of stuff.
Well, he's going to win the World Championship.
Yeah, obviously, naturally. Sorry, Carol, you missed 24 minutes. For strange thing, 24 minutes went, but I don't think you missed too much. That makes sense.
We've only been going through the terrible teams like Aston Martin,
really
Alpine, AlphaTauri.
We did speak about the Russell and Bottas incident. Yuki actually overtook Lewis in the restart, but spun sadly. Oh, didn't see that.
That's when he went. Yeah.
Yeah. Renault will have the split turbo, or is that Ferrari? No idea. It might be Ferrari. So he needs to calm down. He's overcompensating everything. I think Yuki's just a rookie. It will take time to learn. I look at him like a Lando Norris. Shows that he'll show pace. He'll show a lot of promise in his rookie season, but he'll also make mistakes.
Yeah. A comment I loved after qualifying, after he crashed out in Q1, he said, I just got too excited and lost it. I was like, he was so happy with the lap he was putting together that he was like, this is incredible. Oh, crap. Oh, whoa, no.
No, whoa.
No, Yuki, no.
No, Yuki. But moving on to his teammate Gasly, stuffed by strategy.
Yep.
By starting him on the full wets rather than getting on the full wets. Yeah, they really should have just gone, this is the wrong call. We'll take the hit because Gasly's got the pace to work his way through.
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, still with that awful first stint. Like
he came back and finished 7th in the end. Best of the rest.
Yeah. I don't even know where the best of the rest
They're in
is.
the third pack.
Yeah, the best of the third pack. And turns out. But yeah, Gasly still looks strong. And my gut feeling, what I've always had throughout the season, looks like he will comfortably beat Yuki over the course of these 23 races. Yeah, he comfortably beat him because naturally he is a better driver. Go from there. Yuki's got a bigger potty mouth than Max. Unbelievable. And that's saying something. Honda has the split. Okay, nice. Honda engine is better than the Ferrari engine. Yep. I mean, you could even argue that the Honda engine is better than the Mercedes engine at the moment. So those are the two where it's a debate for it. Norris is my driver of the day. Well, are we moving on to McLaren?
Let's move on to McLaren because that's a segue into it.
There's a segue.
Norris, is he your driver of the day?
Wait, sorry, I'm just segueing into it. Norris driving my day. I thought he was brilliant all weekend.
You went from 9th to 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, he was just rapid all weekend. And also the calmness of he's like going, when he was behind Daniel, he's like, I can go so much faster. I just need clean air. The fact that Daniel Ricciardo had to make way, which must have like eaten up inside of him to have to do that. And Lando then went off into the distance. Yeah. He rocketed and made the move on the restart versus Leclerc. Yep. All the key moments.
Made the softs last.
He made the softs last. And out of all the drivers that Lewis Hamilton, when he was making his way through the field, he made it the most difficult for Lewis to get past. Yeah. To show the pace that he had. Lando was fantastic. Absolutely, I would say.
Arguably, he did have the best car to do that thing. To defend against Lewis.
But yeah. Well, other than the Red Bull. But
he didn't overtake a Red Bull.
Absolutely. No, look. Lando was brilliant.
Yep.
He was fantastic. Absolutely superb race from Lando Norris. And again, has a fantastic start to the season. He continues to grow and mature and surprise me because every time I go, is Lando going to be any good? He then starts the season off strong. But what happened last year is he kind of faded and got worse through the season.
Sainz came back with a vengeance.
Will Ricciardo do the same? And if Ricciardo does the same, then I'm worried about Lando in terms of momentum he can gain. He comes out the blocks well, but as it gets through the season, the more experienced drivers kind of go, sit down, son.
I think his performances this year in the first 2 races were better than his performances last year in Austria, the double header.
Absolutely, because they've been a complete race performance.
Yeah.
Which
gives me more confidence this is a new Lando.
Yeah, where Austria was great, but it was just that one lap. And then it was just taking advantage of the fact that Perez lost his front wing, Stroll had collided into Ricciardo, and he kept himself out of problem and got it. Yeah. No, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. Carola, very impressed with Lando's defending. Yep. Now, Lewis, my driver of the day.
We'll come on to that, but yes and no.
Was that a serious driver of the day?
Well, you could say it was driver of the day, but then obviously you go, well, if he was driver of the day, he shouldn't have messed up in the first place.
He can't be a driver of the day when he could.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah,
we'll come on to that.
We'll come to that.
But onto we've praised Lando Norris. Onto his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who's still another one of those new teammates who are just getting used to the car. He did well for the team. He let Lando pass without any arguments.
I'll say with Peter's comment here, let Danny learn the car over the year. It's not learning the car. I think it's learning the team. I think
it's team and car.
A little bit. But I would say the car is less of a big issue because I think drivers adapt to cars easy because all through their careers, they've had to adapt to cars. I know in F1, each has their unique little tinkers, little kind of kinks in them that you've got to master. But I think learning how a team operates as a whole, learning the race engineers, how you get on with the mechanics, how they go about their day-to-day procedures, I think that's a lot harder to kind of fit into and get up to speed quickly with. So that's why I would say focus more on the team. But yeah, just a learning experience. But still, what did he get? P6?
7. No, 6, yes. Because, yes, Ferrari did fantastically well.
Yeah, they got 4 or 5.
Yeah. But other than that, it's not really much else to add on Danny Ricciardo. Unless anyone else has got anything. Ricciardo just getting up to speed with the car, the team, and just being a good team player at the moment, helping Lando out where he can.
But be honest, he was nowhere all race. Yeah. Look,
yes,
he's not having a standout performance. Absolutely. From the standards we expect from Daniel Ricciardo, it's an underperforming race. He was nowhere all race. But
considering how Sainz started, to finish behind Sainz was pretty bad. But yeah.
But also, he's getting the car kind of where it needs to be.
Yeah.
He's not massively lagging. I know in the midfield aspect, he's lagging behind his teammate, but he's not like hugely off where he needs to be. He's not where he needs to be, but he's not far from it. But you could argue an experienced driver of Daniel Ricciardo's age should really hit the ground running. But do we expect too much?
But then we see that from so many. We see that from Checo. We'll come on to that. Sebastian Vettel, and also Daniel Ricciardo, all struggling in their new cars, new teams, and you
could even argue Alonso this time was struggling.
Yeah, but Bahrain did very well. So I'll put that more to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like he's a one-off from the new guys.
Yeah. Look, Infinite. Okay, we get it. Ricciardo didn't have a great race. We're not trying to say that he had a great race. All right. But he also did not have an awful race that he should be ridiculed for. in terms of, is it what we're expecting from Daniel Ricciardo? No. But I would also credit Ferrari for it, that I just thought Ferrari had a fantastic race. And are we moving on to Ferrari now?
Yeah.
The floor is
Ferrari!
yours. Ferrari, because you've had a good feeling about Ferrari.
I have, you know. I don't know if anyone heard it on every single video we've done for 2021. I have a good feeling about Ferrari. And Italy, of course, they were strong. P4, P5, fantastic result for the team. Look very quick. Carlos Sainz, we'll start with him. He was very frustrated at the wet period of the race, making lots of mistakes, running wide. But he came back strong and obviously took Daniel Ricciardo at in the second stage of the race, securing the P4, P5 for Ferrari. Still getting up speed. But looking a lot quicker than he was in Bahrain. Obviously, Bahrain was pretty poor for him, but I felt Sainz looked very quick in Imola.
I think he did a decent job. Like I said, definitely best out of the newbies.
Yep.
Who have gone into their teams. He's not on Leclerc's level, but I never expected him to be. No. I know some people have gone, look, Sainz isn't just going to be a number 2.
Yeah, that was the radio message.
That is it. But you know, I never expect him to go. Leclerc, we class as an elite level talent. He is something special. But if Sainz can do a job for Ferrari, and that's what he definitely did yesterday, then if Ferrari can somehow get P3 in the constructors this year, be fantastic.
It's going to be a challenge against that McLaren team. But
yeah, it will be. It will be. They'd have to definitely improve going through the season, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, he had a few mistakes, but he did recover well. Leclerc is elite. Moving on to Charles Leclerc, securing P4, couldn't hold off Lando Norris and didn't put up any fight against Lewis Hamilton, but the DRS down the straight is so strong. Leclerc actually had, I don't know when he lost his radio, but he lost his radio at the end of the race. So there was a chunk of the race he couldn't talk to his team, which is pretty major. You have no information. But he managed to stay calm, stay under control, bring home P4. Job done.
It's just what
very
Leclerc does.
Solid race.
The only surprise I had was that Leclerc didn't finish on the podium, because in these weird situations, he somehow seems to find himself. But I think the McLaren was just too good in the hands of Lando Norris. And, well, they were on different tyre strategies, weren't they? Leclerc went on the mediums.
Yeah, McLaren gambled with the softs and it paid off. Yeah,
they were basically like, look, Imola is a different track, a difficult track to overtake on. We're going to gamble on trying to get those tyres to the end, even if they fall off towards the end. But we're going to get the track position and say, you've got to overtake us. And, you know, they couldn't overtake them. So, yeah, it was fantastic. Go from there. Which team is 5th fastest? Good question.
5th fastest, that's a weird one.
I don't know. Probably AlphaTauri?
Yes, you put AlphaTauri there at the moment.
Yeah, we'll have to see from there. Yeah, Fozcast, welcome to the chat. And, yeah, definitely the radio messages were pretty funny in this last race. Definitely there. But, yeah, it looks like in chat, AlphaTauri, people seem to agree with the 5th fastest. Leclerc is Ferrari's best decision in the past decade. It's a hell of a good decision.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think for the long term, it was such a good decision, because I think short term, 2019, Vettel and Kimi would have been the better lineup, because Kimi was a fantastic support driver to Sebastian. You know, that partnership was really good, and if Vettel had stood any chance of anything in 2019, it would have been with Kimi by his side. But Leclerc, long term, he just gets better and better and better. Thoughts on his long contract? Deserved. Why would you not want to tie him down for as long as you could?
You don't have to pay him more when he does well.
Exactly. Afternoon, Johnny Boy, Moto Meerkat is in the chat. Obviously,
hello.
Of course, if you haven't already checked out Moto Meerkat's channel, please go and check it out, drop and subscribe, as well as all the other YouTubers in the chat.
You just have to click on their faces and you can click subscribe.
Exactly. Click face, subscribe. Was impressed by Perez in quali, but the race really showed that he's new to Red Bull. Also, Gasly's decision to go on wet tyres was strange. I think it was the team rather than Gasly's decision, but go to there. We'll come on to the Russell and Bottas. We spoke about it a little bit earlier, but we'll go Red Bull next. Should we go Red Bull or are we going to go Mercedes?
No, Red Bull won the race.
So we'll go Mercedes. Okay, so we'll go with back to that Bottas incident. Who was to fault? We kind of said it was just a racing incident. Don't think anyone was particularly at fault. Bottas squeezed Russell a little bit too much. Russell, as Stevens put it,
Bottas didn't squeeze Russell at all. He just kind of tried to spook him a little bit, tried to make him back out of the move. But that ended up turning into a crash for both of them.
So I was laughing at Simmer's comment. We don't want to talk about it, Simmer. We don't want to talk about fantasy. Russell dropping out and Sergio Perez bottling the podium was definitely a big hit for us in fantasy this weekend. Go for now. That's not a racing incident. No? What? Why would you not think it is a racing incident, Infinite? Because I'm interested. I think Russell's made a mistake. He's taken Bottas out, but it wasn't like he's deliberately crashed into Bottas.
Bottas gave him reason to take avoiding action.
Yeah.
But then you go, well, if Russell just held his nerve, that's kind of the two counter arguments.
Yeah, I think
because the two counter arguments are so balanced, that's why you call it a racing incident.
Yeah, okay, it's half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. I wouldn't definitively say that is your fault.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake. I would just say both drivers didn't handle the situation in a perfect way. They were racing hard. They both wanted the position, and it ended massively badly.
But let's talk about something that we didn't talk about, and it's Bottas being in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
Which you were going to...
Absolutely.
say.
It's embarrassing for Valtteri Bottas. That's
all we have to say on that.
That's pretty much... Look, I even said to Stephen this morning, I was like, do you reckon Bottas could be sacked halfway through the season? Because the only reason he's been kept on by Mercedes is because he's been a good teammate to Lewis Hamilton. Now, Lewis has got a serious championship battle on his hands with Max Verstappen, and Bottas has kind of been nowhere. He got away with it race 1 because Perez was nowhere, and he had a bad race in race 2. So it's too early to say on this aspect, but because Max is causing a championship battle, we're not really talking about the fact that if this was the first 2 races and the Red Bull car hadn't improved, wow, Valtteri Bottas.
The only thing I would say on Bottas is because he made no progress on the wets, but they didn't have DRS, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Imola, very difficult to overtake. And then when he came onto the dries where the incident happened, he was struggling warming up the tyres. And then obviously it was very challenging conditions, being one dry part of the track, one wet part of the track. And then he obviously crashed. So we didn't actually really see... Obviously, you go, well, Lewis Hamilton carved his way through the pack, but the track was dry and he had DRS to help him. So Lewis had a lot more favourable conditions to progress, whereas Bottas had a lot more challenging conditions.
Absolutely fair. But
he screwed all in qualifying, which they both had the same conditions. So,
yeah, I agree, Infinite. It is far too early to definitively say on Bottas either way. And that was more just a rash judgment of the race. I don't genuinely think that Bottas will be sacked through this season. But it would be a worry for Mercedes. It's definitely not the perfect start. And if this trend continues, then it is a big worry. And moving on to Lewis Hamilton and how he is. And I know Infinite, you are a Lewis fan, aren't you? And you said he was your driver of the day. Look, Lewis did well to recover. Absolutely. But I have my standards for Lewis are here, and probably standards for everyone else are here, especially in those intermediate conditions. And I know he did it under softs under the dry compounds, and he was absolutely flying. at that point, and he'd already closed on intermediates. But I saw in Lewis what I hadn't seen in Lewis for a while, which was, I think Max is a genuine worry to him.
Hey, Sam.
Because, yeah, hi, Sam. And
Sorry to interrupt.
That's right. With Lewis, I think Max is a genuine worry to him, because I think, say, for example, this was last year, and it was Bottas and Hamilton going into turn one, same way decision side by side.
Backs out.
Bottas backs out, or Lewis backs out and goes, I'll get Bottas later on.
Yeah.
Lewis stayed in that because he was like, this might be my only chance to get ahead. I know how key this is, being ahead to Max at this stage of the Grand Prix. And also, him spinning out in the fashion he does, it is very rare that Lewis makes a mistake. And he is so lucky that it wasn't a retirement. It was skill to kind of get going. But
I just love, on the timing sheets, they actually put Lewis's out.
Yeah.
For like a few seconds, they're like, he's done.
Yeah, it was
out.
so incredibly impressive to get back. And then obviously he would have been out of it completely if it hadn't been for the red flag and the safety car.
Because he was a lap down.
Yeah.
So
he would have been gone.
Which is why you can't really call him a driver of the day. But what he did after that, mega recovery drive. He got his head straight and did what Lewis does best, fights. Fought for second, and he got second.
Yeah. Look, and I think what we got to go, Max is Lewis. Max and Lewis are both fantastic drivers, but like Bahrain, you criticise Max because he bottled it.
Yeah.
And the overtake here. In this situation, and although, look, Lewis was faster than Max on both stints, the overcut should have worked, but Merc pit crew in clean air, Lewis catches Max 7 out of 10 times. Right, that's a fair enough assessment, but he still made the mistake.
Yeah.
And that makes it worse, the fact that Lewis was faster in both stints, because he didn't win this race. That's why Bahrain was worse that Max won. So now, 2 races in, Lewis probably should have won pace 1 Imola, and Max probably should have won the race in Bahrain, but they won it the opposite round, where the other ones. And it shows that both are making mistakes because they know they're in a championship battle, at least for this stage. Like, you know, we don't know how it's going to pan out over the next 21 races, if all goes ahead, so to say. But yeah, Lewis definitely wasn't a driver of the day. He's still really impressive to come back, get that P2, minimise the damage, which is what champions do, and got the job done, what he needed to do. But that's the first time I'd seen, I would say that was a crack from Lewis. For someone of Lewis's thing, who's usually so relentless, so consistent, that was a big crack to go off at that point.
Yeah.
For that, I'll try and see on things you can say. Do you have anything more to add to that?
I was just on Mercedes. What scares me is they, as you kind of alluded to, I think Infinite said, Mercedes had the quicker car this weekend. Lewis had end plate damage at the start, which is why I kind of dropped back from when Max made the move. That's why Lewis can stick with him. Mercedes said he was costing him 2 tenths a lap. And then he still managed to close the gap or maintain it at some level and then close it. I'm not sure if Max was getting a bit scared of the Italian curse, but we'll come on to that. And then, he looked super quick on the restart and obviously got faster than that. Kind of helped with DRS. So it worries me that Mercedes looked like they were back on top in Imola, but maybe that's just because the track kind of suited them, or maybe Max was just taking a bit easy because he wasn't really challenged at all.
Last time Lewis cracked under pressure was against Vettel in qualifying Germany 2018. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And obviously, Vettel was smashing that until because went out in Q2. Was it? Was that the one where his car kind of had damage and he had to kind of push it back to the?
Yes, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the one. The outlap of Max was really good. It was Carola and for Muller. Ferrari is slower than McLaren, especially on straights. Yeah, apparently. Yeah, definitely.
Leclerc was complaining about
the Mercedes engine is better than the Ferrari still. Clearly. Totally agree. Both in real battle, which creates far more pressure. Lewis is still my favourite, but last time we had someone in Max's position was Seb. Valtteri and Max have never been there. Lewis in for a battle, definitely.
Yeah.
Even the start should have covered Max, not Perez, because you can't overtake around the outside at turn 1, as he learned the hard way. Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah, look, that chicane is 2 don't go into 1, and. Yeah, Lewis on the radio. He pushed me off the track. No, Max was entitled to do it. That's just racing.
Yeah.
That is just a racing go from there. Lewis was on the wet part of the track when he tried to lap Russell. Then he went off the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but still, he's going, I've got this pace. I've got to catch up to Max. I've got to do this from that basis. And made him as that. And it's just rare to see Lewis do that. It's like I said, my levels for him here because he's set that bar so high with his ability. So therefore, you judge him based on that. Love Mercedes whining. Car will cost an upgrade package. Doesn't. Yeah, I think Mercedes will be Mercedes. Yeah, he's having to fend off 2 Red Bulls by himself, which won't help. Well, at that stage, he was. Yeah, Valtteri definitely left him in trouble at the start.
Good to see though.
Yeah,
for a change.
Yeah, which was fantastic from.
Shall we move on to Red Bull? Or got any more comments?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to go through. Is Mercedes faster or is Lewis faster?
That's
point.
A good one to your Very good point.
Welcome to chat, Paul Douglas.
Lewis could have just been driving out of his skin the whole race. That is true. We didn't see anything from Valtteri. Different conditions though. We'll see next Grand Prix. Yet again, we have no more clearer answers to all the questions for the 2021 season.
Absolutely. Matt, I'll come back to that fancy question after, but we'll round off, obviously, our team run through with Red Bull. So, do you want to start off with the race winner or do you want to start off with Perez?
Let's get Checo out of the way.
Okay. Perez really disappointing because qualifying, superb.
Incredible.
Absolutely fantastic. Beating Max in qualifying. I can't remember the last time. It would have been Daniel Ricciardo, wouldn't it?
I think it was,
or would Gasly have beaten him once?
No. It was Ricciardo who lost qualified Max.
And
only like 200ths off Lewis.
Yeah. So it was a fantastic performance in qualifying from there. But it was just...
By his own admission, he drove like an idiot.
Yeah. It was just such an uncharacteristic Checo race.
Pressure got to him. Talking about pressure got to Checo.
That's it. He's having to deal with the pressure of he was in those podium positions and it was like going, wow, you've driven a fantastic race to get in that position.
Now he's expected to get into those positions.
Absolutely. And he's got to not only get in those positions, but he's convert and not convert like once in a blue moon. He's got to be converting every race unless there is some serious issue like you had in Bahrain where he kind of got away with it as a free pass. Bad race for Checo because he should have finished on the podium and maybe would have even finished second. Definitely without the penalty, I feel he would have.
Yep.
And without that spin. It was such a rare mistake from Checo.
Well, it was like he made one mistake and then it was just the floodgates opened. He was running wide. He had a spin. It just didn't go at all well. And like you said, he fluffed a P2 or podium at least.
Infinite. I know you're going to be exact on that. It's 300, Stephen. 300. Don't mess with his boy Lewis. Don't mess with his boy Lewis.
I'm sorry. 300.
Perez, good qualifying, scrappy race, but I'm not writing it off. Yeah, definitely not. Look, like with all of the ones, Albon spun there last year. Oh God, Albon spun in a lot of places.
Anyone can have a bad race in those kind of conditions.
Yeah, look,
I think back to Max in Turkey. Terrible race for Max, but you don't go Max is a terrible driver.
Yeah,
you go he made one mistake.
Yeah,
and he fluffed the rest of the race.
People gave Albon a lot of time in his first 6 months in there, and look, I think we're prepared. 5-6 races or whatever. If there is a consistent stream of negative performances, then you can start to kind of go, oh, can Checo handle this big seat type of thing? Or just do we have to start asking questions? But at the moment, it's far too early to say Vettel, Alonso, Ricardo, Sainz, Perez, how it's worked out. It's far too early to go from that. Did you know that it's the first time 2 British drivers have been on the podium since China 2012? This guy mentioned that 1,000 times during the race, Craig. That was Craig and then Sam on there. Perez could not even get around Alonso. That is not a good sign. Well, yes and no. The F1 cars are so fragile. So fragile. Like if you compare, obviously we watched the IndyCar race later in the day. Those things are built like bricks. Like you can bump off each other, and you're unlikely to get any performance, massive performance differences that are going to affect you. Where in F1, like Checo going in and spinning in the gravel at the speed that he did,
if he picks up a little bit of floor damage, then that costs you tenths of a second a lap.
Absolutely.
And then at Imola, it's so difficult to make the DRS overtakes work, especially because remember Checo was following a DRS train. So I go back to Lewis. Lewis made overtakes look easy. You go, well, Bottas, he didn't make any progress, but Lewis had the prime conditions to make overtakes. No DRS train, dry conditions, and he could just pick them off one by one by one.
Yeah.
Checo didn't have that. Bottas didn't have that. Imola's, it showed it was incredibly tough to overtake him.
The cars are just so big, F1. They are so difficult to try and put your car round another car, right? On a narrow track, they're even narrower with these. It's not a great track from modern F1. Just on that aspect from there. Sam, but we'll move on to the race winner. And then, Sam, we have talked about Ocon versus Alonso. Basically, Ocon did well today. Yesterday. Sorry, Ocon did well. Alonso didn't have a great race. Probably is going to be up and down performances as it goes. But
he got his first point.
But it was, I thought, kudos to Ocon, positive coming back. Yeah. Like after last week, he looked, I know Alonso retired, but it was like going, oh my God, Alonso's come in and wiped the floor with him. Like this could be a bad season for Ocon. And he's gone, hang on a minute. I got into Q3, didn't he? And then finished inside the points as well. So very positive from Ocon on that.
Very positive. Indeed it was.
But Max, well, obviously, but Max, you're the Max fan. Let's go.
Got a shirt on. He smashed it. Had a fantastic start. I think he started in second gear, which they kept shouting about. Gave in great traction, launched himself on the inside, held the racing line, and didn't have to do anything else. He just drove. He was very nervy because obviously last year, 3 Italian Grand Prix, and he crashed in all 3. Did he crash in all 3, or did he retire?
I think so. Mugello definitely did. Monza, I can't remember whether there was a retirement.
Monza was like a first corner incident, and then I think he retired from damage. Mm-hmm. And then Imola, I want to say he retired as well.
Yeah. Mugello, I remember he went in the gravel, didn't he? He was involved because he had a poor qualifying and was back from there.
He had a slow start. The Honda engine didn't start, and then he got punted into the gravel by, I can't remember who it was.
Plantus, you've basically missed it all.
We're on to Red Bull, the final team of the rundown.
58 minutes in, you've missed quite a lot of it. But you can obviously watch it on.
But Max didn't have anything to do. He didn't exactly dominate the race. Like Lewis was quicker, but he did what he had to win. I ran out of words.
He won the race. Lewis, by his own faults, wasn't in that battle to push Max, and Max might have crumbled under pressure if Lewis had been there.
I think Max was very nervy.
Yeah. On these radio messages, on the tyres and everything like that, he was getting very tense, but Lewis never got in a position to sustain him under any sort of pressure, so he could, calm down, and he got the job done.
Yeah.
Which is he needs to win the race. He's a point within Lewis and goes it's tense. It's going to be an incredible battle between them. I'm 15 minutes behind, but I do Bottas getting sacked, but I'm not sure that Wolf wants to do that right now, especially if Lewis is the much faster regularly. Yeah, but it's more if Checo starts helping Max out, then Bottas becomes a serious issue. That was in that relation to the comment, but we'll see.
He'll hear this in 15 minutes time.
Absolutely. Monza was a power unit problem. Mugello also power unit in Imola.
There we go.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Cheers, Carola. Starting
it was
gear,
like a run
in,
of
but Max managed it
unfortunate offence that I must have been in Max's mind just hearing his radio messages, and he knows how much every race matters this year. He can't give Mercedes an inch.
Who wins Monaco, in your opinion, from what we've seen so far? That's not the next race, is it?
No, but it's in a couple of races' time.
Portimao's the next race, isn't it? Red Bull, because they always traditionally have a good aero car.
They do well.
And now they've got an engine to back it up.
Because obviously Red Bull had the King of Monaco in Daniel Ricciardo.
Bloody frosty. Yeah, I think
you can't write off Lewis.
I wouldn't put it past Lewis putting in a monster lap, and therefore I would then back him to win the race. But I think characteristics, Red Bull probably should be targeting Monaco to win.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense, that kind of sits on the fence. Yeah. Max, what Italy curse? Absolutely. Because Red Bull is short wheelbase. There you go, David. Got to be Red Bull. Yeah, people seem to be agreeing from there. Max not always good in Monaco, though. No, but he has been getting better and closer to Lewis and Downs, and he only missed out on a few times because he had a 5-second penalty, didn't he?
Last Monaco was when we had one of the first Lewis versus Max moments. But yeah, Max had a penalty and couldn't get past Lewis. And
that's what kind of made it an issue, didn't it? But quick one for Matt Burley, he was asking for the fantasy. I'll scroll back so we get that question. Just do it quickly.
People's final thoughts on
what's the average score of fantasy F1 teams? No idea, but I'd imagine probably around about the 170 mark.
I would say 170, 180.
Yeah, 170, 180. We were well below average.
We got 136, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 134. I'll be honest with you, it was bad. But that would be where I would go from there.
People were Mega Driving, so you don't really take those into account.
Yeah. Mercedes, because I thought Red Bull loves twisty tracks, but what happened this weekend and Red Bull don't want to get into development battle with Mercedes. Ferrari learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be. I don't know. Which is nice because last couple of seasons I would confidently say Mercedes. This one I go, it should be Mercedes, but Red Bull might do it. I haven't been totally convinced by a Red Bull title battle as of yet.
Yeah.
But they're closer than anyone's been for a long while.
What is the current championship standings? I can give you a rundown.
Thinking Russell and Lewis Mercedes lineup for 2022, unless he F's up more Mercedes races. Yeah. It's going to be tight. Absolutely. I think it's going to be tight.
Okay, do you want your championship rundown?
Charles, though, Ferrari has always been good at Monaco. Very interesting. Could be an interesting outside shout.
He had a pretty awful last Monaco, didn't he?
He did. He's never driven well at Monaco, Charles. But if there's anyone who's probably can challenge Lewis for title of best qualifier on the grid, it would probably be Charles Leclerc for me.
Yeah.
At the moment, I know Lando's getting up there as well, but go for
doing your standings, championship standings.
Give the championship standings.
I'll fly through it. Okay. Lewis on 44 points, Max Verstappen 43, Lando Norris 27 points, Charles Leclerc 20 points, Valtteri Bottas 16, Carlos Sainz 14, Daniel Ricciardo 14, Checo Perez and P8 in 10 points, Lance Stroll 5 points, Pierre Gasly 6 points, Yuki Tsunoda 2 points, Ocon, Alonso, 2 points, 1 point. And then you have the 0 points of Kimi Räikkönen, Giovinazzi, Russell, Vettel, Schumacher, Mazepin, and the Latifi bottom. Because he's retired. Both races.
Latifi.
There you go. That's your standings.
Final thoughts. Imola, great race weekend. What I love about old stall circuits is if you make a mistake, it will cost you. Love that. The real skill has been tested. Absolutely. And if F1 cars were more like Indy cars, I think we'd have a fantastic thing. Like, even with the development, what I mean is the sort of size and style of them.
Yeah.
Is what I mean. F1 could still have the development battle and how they go on that
I just wish they weren't so fragile. Why is it that if you have one tiny incident on maybe the first lap, your whole race is sabotaged?
Yeah, I feel like there should be. You want to see tight, close in action, and if you've got cars that are so big, you're going to need some bumping room to squeeze through those spaces. So if you then combine big cars with fragile cars, then it's a recipe for disaster on that aspect.
How many times after a race do we go, oh, this guy had this damage they had on lap 2, and that's why he was losing 5 tenths?
Yeah, Ricciardo was the prime example last race, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like going, oh, Ricciardo didn't do too badly, actually, because he had floor damage. You're like going, oh, but really? Really? It just kind of costs it so much? They're just so fragile.
Thinking last year, Bottas picking up Ferrari debris at Imola, and then he did nothing for the whole race.
Which team feels the best in Portugal? McLaren is the only one I'll confidently say.
In fantasy?
Maybe in fantasy, I don't know. Yeah. In general, it feels McLaren. No, that's what I'll confidently say. I can't pick between the Red Bull Mercedes. I don't know. From what I've seen so far, I don't know.
Okay.
I couldn't
You're not
confidently
saying
say
McLaren to win the race.
No. I'm saying McLaren is the only one I'd confidently say was better than the rest of the other ones.
I thought you were like, Lando Norris is going to win Portugal. That's the only thing I can say confidently.
That's the only thing I can say. Absolutely confident. Charles has never finished the Monaco GP. At the moment in fantasy, do you think it's more worth it having to McLaren as constructors have the extra cash drivers, or take the hit with drivers and afford Red Bull? Generally, as a whole, I would do Red Bull, but next race, it will definitely be worth McLaren having a look, because they are on streaks for next race. No problem at all, Tonka Toy Truck. Thanks for jumping in chat.
Thank you.
Mulder, yet describe Portugal, please, since I didn't watch last season. Portugal's an old new style track, got elevation changes.
Oh, it's a lovely track.
Great track, absolutely brilliant one. McLaren, very quick early doors. I think Sainz even led the Grand Prix for early stages, but then ended in inevitably Mercedes going on and winning. Carol, I loved the IndyCar last night as well. Yeah, it was a fantastic race. Season opener, brilliant race win for Alex Palou with Chip Ganassi winning on his first race for the team. So that was superb. So congratulations to Alex for that win as well. I think Red Bull does have a good chance this year. Yeah, definitely, Gianni, and welcome to the chat as well. Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks, Donka. Thanks for always jumping in. And cheers for giving us a thumbs up before we leave. And that's a thumbs up to everyone as well. Give us a thumbs up before you leave if you enjoyed it.
Smash that like button.
Smash it. Bam.
Please don't break your phone or computer.
F1 loves using red flags a lot more often. Yeah, but I guess it's the safety. I think they're just scared.
I think it's similar.
Well, that of an old school safety thing, if a barrier gets compromised, and you've got to bear in mind actually now from there, if a barrier gets compromised, well, we only have to look at that wasn't compromised, but Roman Grosjean's incident last year, you know, on that narrow section, if someone else had a high speed corner and it was compromised, then
there was also a crap ton of debris.
Yeah, it was everywhere. It was literally everywhere. Yeah, bigs up on 2K. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for everyone who subscribed to us. I think we hit 2K in between our live streams, wasn't it? Wednesday to this live stream. So thank you everyone for the support. We love it. We'll keep putting out the content. I hope to keep going. Portugal is a MotoGP track, which is brilliant. Yeah, absolutely is. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. And yeah, fingers crossed it's good to race in the F1 2021.
There we go.
And my delay is hideous from China. But thank you, gents. Your chat is fun and educational. All the best. Cheers, Matt. Thank you for joining Hong Kong, Matt.
Hope everyone has enjoyed this little review of
look at this.
Thank you.
An hour and 9 minutes proves that it was a good race to talk about.
There we go. Thank you everyone for joining in as well. We do love your comments. That's why we moved to a live stream. We couldn't talk to ourselves in the podcast anymore, so we had to get other people in the live stream.
I just can't stand him.
I hate him.
Oh, it's so annoying. But yeah, no, thank you guys. We do appreciate it. And yeah, we love kind of getting your action because, hey, we're F1 fans. It's a fan channel. And that's what it's always been about, kind of talking with you guys, stuff that. So guys, have superb weeks. F1 Fantasy is out tomorrow. We'll be back next week for another live stream in kind of looking ahead to the action at Portimao. And fingers crossed we get a race as good as we've had in the opening 2 races of the season to F1 season. It's been a good start so far. So yeah, thank you guys. Have a great time. And you F1 fans, keep racing. Ooh.